Let's meet the key players in the Legion's fight against the escaped gods. Saga, the Legion's Temporal Gambit. Chapter 2. The Chronomasters. The Legion operates from the shadows, their agents masters of temporal manipulation, their motives shrouded in mystery. Here are some of their key operatives. Chronos, the enigmatic leader of the Legion. Chronos is a being of immense age and power, his origins lost to the depths of time. Looks. He appears as a tall, imposing figure, his face hidden behind a mask that constantly shifts through different eras. His clothing is a blend of archaic and futuristic styles, reflecting his mastery over time. Capabilities. Chronos possesses near-absolute control over the flow of time. He can manipulate temporal currents, create time loops, and even erase or rewrite timelines. His powers are so vast that he can perceive all of time simultaneously, making him a formidable strategist and a dangerous opponent. Personality. Chronos is cold, calculating, and utterly ruthless. He sees time as a tool to be wielded, and he is willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to maintain its integrity. He is driven by a singular purpose, to prevent any alteration to the timeline that could threaten the existence of reality itself. Aevum, a skilled temporal assassin. Aevum is known for her precision and efficiency. Looks. She is a lithe and agile figure, her appearance constantly shifting to blend seamlessly into any time period. Her eyes glow with a faint temporal energy, and she carries an array of weapons designed to disrupt the flow of time. Capabilities. Aevum can manipulate her personal timeline, allowing her to move at incredible speeds, predict future events, and even undo her own actions. She is a master of stealth and infiltration, capable of erasing herself from history and leaving no trace of her presence. Personality. Aevum is detached, professional, and utterly loyal to the Legion. She views time as a delicate web, and she is meticulous in her efforts to preserve its integrity. She is haunted by a past she cannot remember, a void in her personal timeline that fuels her dedication to the Legion's cause. Kairos, a brilliant temporal strategist, Kairos possesses the ability to perceive all possible timelines. Looks. He appears as a young man with an old soul, his eyes filled with the weight of countless possibilities. He is often seen studying complex equations and diagrams, mapping out the intricate pathways of time. Capabilities. Kairos can calculate the probability of any event occurring, predict the consequences of any action, and identify the optimal course of action in any situation. He is a master of temporal manipulation, capable of creating branching timelines and exploiting temporal paradoxes to achieve his goals. Personality. Kairos is analytical, logical, and somewhat detached from the emotional complexities of time. He sees the timeline as a complex equation to be solved, and he is driven by an insatiable curiosity to understand its every nuance. He struggles with the burden of knowing all possible outcomes, a weight that isolates him from others. Tempest, a powerful temporal warrior. Tempest can manipulate the raw energy of time. Looks. She is a tall and imposing figure, her body crackling with temporal energy. Her eyes are like swirling vortexes, and she wields a weapon that can unleash blasts of temporal force. Capabilities. Tempest can generate temporal storms, create time warps, and accelerate or decelerate the flow of time around her. She is a formidable combatant, capable of aging her opponents to dust in seconds, or freezing them in time indefinitely. Personality. Tempest is fierce, impulsive, and fiercely protective of the timeline. She sees time as a force to be reckoned with, and she is willing to fight to defend its integrity. She is haunted by a personal tragedy caused by a temporal anomaly, a loss that fuels her rage against anyone who threatens the stability of time. These are just a few of the Chronomasters who serve the Legion, each a master of time in their own right, each dedicated to the perilous task of preserving the timeline from those who would seek to control or destroy. 3. Echo's earthly mirage. The quantum realm spat her out, a fractured goddess crashing onto a world that couldn't comprehend her madness. Echo, stripped of her full power, weakened and disoriented, found herself hurled into the heart of 1990s New Orleans. The air hung heavy with humidity and the scent of jasmine, a stark contrast to the ethereal chaos she once commanded. Her ethereal form flickered, threatening to dissipate in this dense reality. Survival demanded adaptation. With a desperate act of will, she forced her essence into a semblance of human shape. Gone was the shimmering, otherworldly beauty. In its place was a young woman with striking features and an unsettling intensity. She christened herself Mariah. New Orleans in the 90s was a city of vibrant contrasts, music spilling from every doorway, shadows lurking in hidden alleyways, and a palpable sense of history and mystery. For Echo, now Mariah, it was a labyrinth of new sensations and confusing stimuli. The noise, the smells, the sheer density of human thought, it was a psychic assault. Her powers, though diminished, remained a dangerous whisper. She could still subtly influence perceptions, weaving illusions that shimmered at the edge of reality. But overuse threatened to shatter her fragile human form. She had to learn control, to blend in, to become a ghost in this strange new world. Mariah found refuge in the city's underbelly, among the artists, the musicians, the outcasts who danced on the fringes of society. Her fragmented mind found a strange kinship with the city's own fractured soul. She learned to navigate the currents of human interaction, her unsettling beauty and aura of mystery drawing attention, her subtle manipulations ensuring her safety. But the quantum realm hadn't forgotten her. Whispers of her arrival began to circulate, attracting unwanted attention. The Legion, those silent guardians of time, were watching, their agents already moving in the shadows. And something else, something darker, stirred in the city's depths, drawn to the echoes of Echo's power. Mariah's existence became a precarious balancing act, blending in while concealing the god within, navigating the human world while evading those who hunted her, and all the while the fractured pieces of her former self began to stir, whispering promises of power and a return to her former glory. Chapter 6. The Voodoo Queen's Gambit. Mariah, beneath her guise, remained a fractured being, her sanity a precarious dance on the edge of the abyss. The vibrant chaos of 1990s New Orleans, while providing a cloak, also amplified the echoes of her former self. The city's unique energy, a potent mix of cultural vibrancy and underlying darkness, resonated with her own turbulent essence. It was in the labyrinthine alleys of the French Quarter, amidst the whispers of ancient magic and the allure of the forbidden, that Mariah discovered a conduit to reclaim her power: voodoo. The potent spiritual energy that permeated New Orleans, a blend of African and Caribbean traditions, pulsed with a raw, untamed force. Mariah, with her innate ability to manipulate perception, found herself drawn to the intricate web of spells, rituals, and ancestral spirits. She began as an observer, a quiet seeker in the shadows of the city's mystical undercurrent. She witnessed the power of the Loa, the intricate dance between the living and the spirit world, and the potent magic that flowed through the hands of the initiated. But Mariah was not content to remain a mere spectator. The echoes of her godhood stirred within her, urging her to reclaim her lost power. She delved deeper into the forbidden arts, her fractured mind finding a strange resonance with the chaotic energies of voodoo. Her illusions, once a whisper, began to amplify, fueled by the potent magic she now commanded. She could twist reality on a grander scale, her influence spreading like a creeping vine through the city's underbelly. She attracted followers, those drawn to her enigmatic power and promises of twisted liberation. Some sought power, others escaped from their own fractured realities, and some simply craved the intoxicating madness she offered. Mariah became a force to be reckoned with, a queen in the shadows, her influence woven into the city's dark heart. The Legion, with their temporal awareness, took note of this surge of power, their agents moving to contain this new threat. This saga, the Crescent City Echoes, will explore Mariah's rise to power, her manipulation of Voodoo's potent energies, and the clash between her growing influence and the Legion's relentless pursuit. Chapter 7. The Shadow Queen's Ascension. Mariah's influence in New Orleans twisted and deepened, becoming a dark reflection of the city's vibrant soul. Her empire wasn't built on bricks and mortar, but on illusions woven into the very fabric of the city's underbelly. Her followers, a macabre tapestry of the desperate and the deluded, became her instruments of power. The Bewitched. These were those whose minds Mariah had utterly reshaped, their perceptions now extensions of her will. They moved through the city like ghosts, spreading whispers of her power, enforcing her will, and blurring the line between reality and nightmare. The Possessed. These were individuals granted power in exchange for their loyalty, their bodies now vessels for the Loa that Mariah manipulated. They wielded potent magic, their rituals fueled by the city's dark energies, their loyalty absolute and terrifying. The Ensnared. These were the city's power brokers, the corrupt officials, the ambitious criminals, the desperate souls who found themselves caught in Mariah's web. She offered them power, wealth, escape from their desires, but the price was their freedom, their sanity, their very souls. Mariah's power spread through the city like a creeping plague, corrupting everything it touched. The music scene, once a source of joy and expression, became a conduit for her influence. Musicians found their creativity twisted, their songs filled with haunting melodies and hypnotic rhythms that enthralled audiences and bound them to Mariah's will. The underground, once a haven for the unconventional, became her playground. Her parties were legendary, gatherings where reality dissolved and desires were unleashed, all under Mariah's watchful gaze. Even the city's criminal elements found themselves drawn to her power. Gang leaders, drug lords, even the infamous Hankton Organization, found themselves either bowing to her authority or facing the terrifying consequences. The city's soul was at stake, its vibrant energy threatened by Mariah's insidious influence. The Legion, those silent guardians of time, watched from the shadows, their agents caught in a desperate race against the encroaching darkness, the Queen's shadow domain. Mariah's influence spread like a dark stain across New Orleans, corrupting its vibrant energy and twisting its unique character into a grotesque reflection of her fractured psyche. Her power base was no longer a hidden web. It had become a sprawling, sinister domain that touched every facet of the city. The Twisted Courts. Mariah infiltrated the city's political machinery, her bewitched puppets occupying positions of power. Laws were subtly altered, investigations buried, and the flow of money redirected to serve her ever-growing needs. The once proud institutions of New Orleans became puppets in her macabre theater. The Discordant Symphony, the city's legendary music scene, fell under her sway. Musicians, their creativity warped by her magic, churned out haunting melodies that captivated audiences, their souls subtly bound to Mariah's will. The once joyous clubs and venues became pleasure dens, where reality blurred, and desires were dangerously amplified. The shadow market. Mariah controlled the flow of the city's underworld. Drug cartels, once rivals, now operated under her authority, their violence amplified by the dark energy she wielded. The Hankton Organization, known for its ruthlessness, became her favored enforcers, their brutality now guided by Mariah's sinister designs. The Whispering Cabal. At the heart of her power lay her possessed followers, the masters of voodoo magic now twisted into something dark and profane. They performed rituals in hidden chambers, their spells fueled by the city's life force, their loyalty to Mariah absolute and terrifying. New Orleans, once a city of vibrant culture and resilient spirit, was being reshaped in Mariah's image, a twisted reflection of beauty and madness, where power was absolute and reality was a plaything. Chapter 9. The Rainbow Warrior. The city groaned under Mariah's oppressive influence, its vibrant spirit fading into shadows. But even in the deepest darkness, a spark of resistance can ignite. From the heart of the Cajun community, a hero emerged, her name Keisha, and she wielded a power as vibrant and unpredictable as the rainbow flow. Keisha was a force of nature, a blend of southern charm and fierce determination. Her connection to the flow was innate, allowing her to manipulate energy with a fluidity that mirrored the bayou's currents. She moved with a dancer's grace, her attacks a whirlwind of color and force. Her spirit was as warm as a Louisiana sunrise, her heart as resilient as the Cajun people's. When Mariah's darkness began to encroach on her community, threatening to extinguish their traditions and corrupt their souls, Keisha rose to defend them. She moved through the city like a streak of light, disrupting Mariah's operations, freeing those enslaved by her illusions, and inspiring hope in the hearts of the oppressed. She clashed with Mariah's bewitched puppets, her rainbow flow shattering their mental bonds and restoring their free will. She confronted the possessed, her vibrant energy countering their dark magic, her spirit unyielding against their twisted rituals. She even challenged the Ensnared, offering them a path to redemption, a chance to break free from Mariah's seductive promises. But Keisha's power alone was not enough. Mariah's empire was vast, her influence deeply entrenched. The city's criminal elements, amplified by Mariah's dark energy, proved to be a brutal force, their violence and ruthlessness overwhelming Keisha's attempts to bring justice. The twisted magic wielded by Mariah's followers was potent and insidious, capable of corrupting even the purest of hearts. And Mariah herself, the fractured goddess, was a formidable opponent, her illusions capable of warping reality and shattering the minds of those who opposed her. Keisha fought with courage and determination, but she was facing a darkness that threatened to consume the city. She needed allies, she needed a new strategy, and she needed to find a way to amplify her rainbow flow to a level that could truly challenge Mariah's twisted past. Chapter 10. Midnight Extraction. The humid New Orleans night pulsed with a sinister energy, Mariah's influence thick in the air. Keisha, battered but unbowed, found herself cornered by Mariah's forces. A grotesque tableau of bewitched thugs, possessed voodoo practitioners, and ensnared gang members, their eyes burning with unnatural fervor. Just as the darkness threatened to consume her, a ripple distorted the air. Time itself seemed to stutter, and three figures materialized from the distortion. The Chronomasters. Chronos, the enigmatic leader, his form flickering with temporal energy, his voice a disembodied echo, surveyed the scene with cold precision. Aevum, the temporal assassin, moved with liquid grace, her movements too fast for the eye to follow, her presence a blur of temporal displacement. Kairos, the strategist, his eyes scanning the battlefield, calculating probabilities with impossible speed, his mind already mapping out a dozen escape routes. The Chronomasters moved with ruthless efficiency. Aevum became a whirlwind of motion, her temporal blades slicing through the air, disrupting the flow of time around Mariah's forces. Illusions shattered, spells fizzled, and the Ensnared found themselves ripped from Mariah's control as Aevum severed the temporal threads that bound them. Kairos, his mind a living calculator, predicted every attack, every move, guiding Keisha through the chaos. Gaps appeared in the enemy's formation, escape routes materialized from thin air, and the Chronomasters orchestrated a symphony of temporal manipulation that disoriented and overwhelmed Mariah's forces. Chronos, the master of time, held back, his power a silent threat. He observed Mariah's influence, his gaze piercing the veil of her illusions, his presence a temporal anchor in the storm of chaos. The battle was swift and decisive. Mariah's forces, caught in the Chronomasters' temporal crossfire, were scattered and defeated. Keisha, bruised but alive, found herself swept away by Aevum, the flow of time bending around them as they retreated. They arrived at a temporary base, a hidden sanctuary outside the city's grasp, where the air was clean and the oppressive weight of Mariah's power was absent. It was a place of temporal neutrality, a space between moments, where the Chronomasters could plan their next move. Chronos stepped forward, his gaze intense. He offered Keisha a device, sleek and futuristic, humming with temporal energy. "This," he said, his voice echoing in her mind, "will amplify your rainbow flow. It will allow you to channel its power on a scale that can truly challenge Mariah." The device pulsed with potential, a promise of power and a dangerous alliance. Keisha, the Cajun hero, was now thrust into a temporal game, her destiny intertwined with the Chronomasters' mission to restore balance to New Orleans and prevent Mariah from unraveling the fabric of reality. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 11. The Orleans Gambit. In the quiet sanctuary between moments, the Chronomasters and Keisha gathered to strategize. The fate of New Orleans, its soul hanging in the balance, rested on their shoulders. Chronos, his masked face impassive, unfurled a holographic map of the city, its streets shimmering with temporal energy. Mariah's influence, he stated, his voice echoing with the weight of ages, is a temporal anomaly, a distortion in the flow of time. To restore order, we must sever her connection to the city's energy and disrupt her power base. Aevum, her eyes glowing with temporal precision, outlined their infiltration strategy. "We will move through the city's shadows, exploiting the temporal currents to our advantage. We will target her key lieutenants, disrupt her operations, and sow chaos in her ranks." Kairos, his mind a whirlwind of calculations, predicted every possible outcome, every potential threat. "The timeline is fragile," he warned. "Any misstep could have unforeseen consequences. We must act with precision and caution." Keisha, her spirit burning with determination, added her local expertise. Mariah's power is intertwined with the city's unique energy, its music, its traditions, its very soul. To defeat her, we must reclaim what she has corrupted, to remind the city of its true heart. The plan unfolded. Operation Discordant Symphony, disrupt Mariah's control over the music scene. Keisha, using the amplified rainbow flow, would cleanse the corrupted melodies, inspiring musicians to reclaim their creativity and break free from Mariah's influence. Operation Shadow Market, undermine Mariah's control of the underworld. Aevum, using her temporal agility, would infiltrate her shadow markets, disrupt her drug trade, and sow discord among her criminal allies. Operation Twisted Courts, expose Mariah's corruption within the city's institutions. Kairos, using his predictive abilities, would uncover her network of bewitched puppets, revealing their treachery and restoring justice to the city. Operation Whispering Cabal, confront Mariah's inner circle, the possessed voodoo practitioners. Chronos, wielding his mastery over time, would disrupt their dark rituals, sever their connection to Mariah, and reclaim the city's spiritual energy. The plan was audacious, a high-stakes gamble against a fractured goddess and her twisted empire. But the Chronomasters and Keisha were ready, their resolve as strong as the spirit of New Orleans itself. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 12. Operation Discordant Symphony. The plan was audacious, a counterpoint to Mariah's twisted melody, and its heart lay in reclaiming the soul of New Orleans' music scene. The city's clubs, once vibrant with life, now pulsed with a hypnotic darkness, Mariah's influence distorting every note. Musicians played with glazed eyes, their creativity stifled, their songs laced with a haunting allure that enslaved the audience. Keisha, amplified by the Chronomasters' device, became the conductor of a new rhythm. She moved through the city's musical heart, her presence a vibrant wave of energy. She stepped onto the stage of a legendary jazz club, her rainbow flow washing over the musicians, cleansing their minds and liberating their spirits. The music, once muted, exploded with renewed passion, a defiant cry against Mariah's control. She infiltrated a clandestine bounce music party, her energy infusing the raw beats with a rebellious fervor. The dancers, once entranced, found their movements infused with a newfound freedom, their bodies a weapon against Mariah's oppression. She even ventured into the heart of a voodoo ritual, her vibrant power clashing against the dark magic. The drums, once used for enslavement, became instruments of liberation, their rhythm echoing through the city, a call to resistance. The Chronomasters played their part with temporal precision. Aevum, a whisper in the wind, disrupted Mariah's control over key venues, severing the temporal threads that bound musicians to her will. Kairos, his mind a living algorithm, predicted Mariah's moves, ensuring Keisha was always one step ahead, her music a counterpoint to Mariah's every note. The city began to respond. Musicians, freed from Mariah's influence, found their voices again, their music a blend of defiance and hope. The streets, once hushed, now pulsed with a rebellious energy, a vibrant symphony of resistance. But Mariah was not one to be silenced. Her power, though challenged, remained a formidable force, and she would not relinquish her hold on the city without a fight. Let's turn up the intensity and dive into the chaotic heart of the shadow market operation. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 13. Operation Shadow Market. The city's underworld, a labyrinth of back alleys, hidden warehouses, and clandestine deals, became Aevum's hunting ground. Mariah, her senses heightened, knew someone was disrupting her operations, and her forces were on high alert. The shadow market, a nexus of illicit trade, pulsed with a dangerous energy. Drug deals went down in abandoned shipping yards. Stolen goods changed hands in dimly lit bars. Whispers of dark magic and forbidden rituals slithered through the shadows. Aevum moved through this treacherous landscape like a phantom, temporal agility a weapon against Mariah's forces. She disrupted drug shipments, appearing and disappearing before the dealers could react, leaving behind chaos and confusion. She infiltrated auctions of stolen artifacts, manipulating time to swap goods, erase evidence, and expose Mariah's corrupt buyers. She even ventured into the heart of a voodoo ceremony, her temporal blades severing the connection between Mariah's followers and their dark Loa, freeing them from her control. But Mariah's influence was insidious, her reach extending into every corner of the underworld. The Hankton Organization, her ruthless enforcers, were relentless in their pursuit, their violence and brutality a terrifying force. Mariah's bewitched spies lurked in the shadows, their minds twisted, their loyalty absolute, their ability to anticipate Aevum's moves unsettling. And Mariah herself, her power amplified by the city's dark energy, was a constant threat, her illusions capable of warping reality and trapping Aevum in a temporal nightmare. The operation was a success, Aevum dismantling Mariah's underworld empire with ruthless efficiency. But victory came at a cost. Mariah, her power flaring, unleashed a wave of dark energy, a desperate attempt to regain control. In the chaos, Aevum found herself ensnared, trapped in a temporal vortex, her fate uncertain. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 14. Echoes of a Lost Time. Aevum found herself trapped, not in a physical prison, but in a vortex of time itself, a swirling maelstrom of fragmented memories and distorted realities. Mariah, her eyes glowing with eerie power, stood at the vortex's center, her voice a chorus of whispers that echoed through Aevum's mind. Do you remember Aevum? Mariah's voice slithered into Aevum's consciousness. Do you recall the time before the Legion, before the shadows, before the void in your past? Aevum struggled against the temporal currents, her mind a battleground of fragmented images and half-formed emotions. She saw glimpses of a life she couldn't place, faces she didn't recognize, a past that felt both alien and intimately familiar. Mariah, her power growing, delved deeper into Aevum's mind, manipulating the voodoo flow to unravel the temporal barriers that guarded her memories. You were not always a weapon, Aevum, Mariah purred, her voice laced with a strange tenderness. You were a being of immense potential, a weaver of realities, a sister to the chaos of the quantum realm. As Mariah's influence intensified, Aevum's fragmented memories began to coalesce, forming a disturbing picture of her past. She saw herself as a young woman, wielding powers similar to Mariah's, her touch capable of bending reality, her mind a kaleidoscope of illusions. She witnessed a cataclysmic event, a tear in the fabric of existence, a moment of chaos that shattered her mind and erased her past. She saw the Legion, those enigmatic guardians of time, finding her broken and adrift, offering her purpose and a new identity as a temporal assassin. Mariah, her power reaching its zenith, offered Aevum a twisted gift, the restoration of her lost memories, the full understanding of her past, and the chance to reclaim her former power. But the price was steep, to abandon the Legion, to embrace her chaotic nature, and to join Mariah in her quest to reshape reality. Aevum stood at a crossroads, her mind torn between the cold logic of the Legion and the seductive allure of her restored past. The fate of New Orleans, and perhaps the timeline itself, hung in the balance. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 15. Operation Twisted Courts. The loss of Aevum cast a long shadow over the Chronomasters' operations. Chronos, ever the pragmatist, adjusted their strategy with cold efficiency. The mission to dismantle Mariah's grip on the city's institutions would proceed, but with a heightened level of caution. The timeline cannot be jeopardized by sentiment, Chronos stated, his voice devoid of emotion. We will adapt and overcome. Kairos, his mind a whirlwind of calculations, mapped out new strategies, accounting for Aevum's absence. His predictions, however, carried a somber weight, the probabilities skewed by the unpredictable nature of Mariah's power. Keisha, her heart burning with a fierce determination, stood in stark contrast to the Chronomasters' detachment. Aevum is one of us, she argued, her voice laced with anger and grief. We can't just abandon her. We have to go back for her. Chronos' masked face remained impassive. The mission is paramount, Keisha. One life cannot outweigh the fate of the city, perhaps even the timeline itself. A heated debate ensued, Keisha's passionate pleas clashing against Chronos' unwavering logic. The Chronomasters, bound by their temporal code, refused to deviate from their calculated path. In the end, Keisha, her spirit conflicted, had to make a choice. She could defy the Chronomasters and risk everything, or she could play along, biding her time, waiting for the opportune moment to mount a rescue. With a heavy heart, she chose the latter. Operation Twisted Quartz commenced. The city's institutions, once symbols of order and justice, were now puppets in Mariah's twisted game. City Hall pulsed with a dark energy, bewitched officials enacting laws that served Mariah's agenda. The police department turned a blind eye to her operations, their ranks infiltrated by her loyal followers. Even the courts were corrupted, justice twisted to serve Mariah's desires. Kairos, his mind a weapon of logic and prediction, led the charge. He exposed Mariah's bewitched puppets, revealing their treachery and disrupting her control over the city's bureaucracy. He manipulated evidence, uncovered conspiracies, and turned Mariah's own machinations against her. But the operation was fraught with danger. Mariah's influence was insidious, her reach extending into every corner of the city. Her forces, emboldened by their power, fought back with ruthless efficiency. And in the shadows, Keisha quietly prepared her own rebellion, her loyalty to Aevum outweighing any temporal imperative. She would play her part, but when the time was right, she would defy the Chronomasters and embark on a rescue mission. Consequences be damned. Saga, the Crescent City echoes. You are absolutely correct. My apologies for the mix-up. Let me correct that and provide the accurate origin story for Echo/Mariah. Okay, let's set the record straight and delve into Aevum's past with the proper context of Echo/Mariah's origins. Saga, the Crescent City echoes. Chapter 15, The Mirror's Reflection, revised. The temporal vortex tightened its grip on Aevum, her consciousness a prisoner in a swirling storm of fragmented memories. Mariah, her power amplified by the Voodoo flow, delved deeper into Aevum's mind, piecing together the shattered remnants of her past. The more Mariah uncovered, the more unsettling the truth became. Aevum, it was revealed, was not merely a skilled assassin, but a being of immense power, a weaver of realities, capable of manipulating perception and altering the very fabric of existence. Her connection to the quantum realm was profound, her abilities mirroring Echo's own, a twisted reflection across the timeline. The Legion, it was shown, did not simply rescue Aevum. They contained her, suppressing her powers, erasing her memories, and molding her into a weapon. Mariah, her voice a seductive whisper, painted a disturbing picture. "We're sisters, Aevum," she purred, her form shimmering with dark energy. "Born from the same chaos, wielding the same power. The Legion stole your past, your true potential. I offer you the chance to reclaim it." Mariah then revealed her own origin, a tale of fractured perceptions and manipulated realities. She spoke of being born from fractured perceptions, her existence intertwined with the manipulation of reality and illusion. She recounted her delving into the depths of the mind, blurring the lines between what is real and what is imagined. She described her drive to understand her fragmented self, her exploration of the power of perception, and its ability to shape reality. Mariah's story was a dark mirror to Aevum's, a twisted reflection of potential denied and power suppressed. "Join me, sister," Mariah pleaded, her voice laced with a desperate longing. "Together we can reshape this world, break free from the constraints of time and reality. We can become the architects of a new existence." Aevum, her mind reeling from the revelations, faced a terrible choice. The Legion's cold logic versus the seductive call of her restored past. The path of order versus the allure of chaos. The fate of New Orleans hanging in the balance. Saga, the Crescent City echoes. Chapter 16, The Whispering Cabal. At the heart of Mariah's dominion lay the Whispering Cabal, her most devoted and terrifying followers. They were the possessed, their bodies and souls vessels for the twisted Loa she commanded, their magic fueled by the life force of New Orleans itself. The rituals took place in hidden chambers, ancient sites now corrupted by Mariah's influence. In the depths of a forgotten cemetery, they danced in the moonlight, their movements a grotesque imitation of traditional ceremonies, their chants a cacophony of distorted prayers. In the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the city, they sacrificed offerings, their spells drawing power from the city's ley lines, their magic warping the very fabric of reality. In the heart of a decaying mansion, once a symbol of opulence, they communed with the spirits of the dead, their voices echoing with promises of power and eternal servitude. Their loyalty to Mariah was absolute, their devotion a terrifying blend of religious fervor and twisted obsession. They were her eyes, her ears, her instruments of power, enforcing her will with ruthless efficiency and wielding magic that could corrupt both body and soul. This was Keisha's opportunity. While the Chronomasters engaged Mariah's forces on other fronts, she would infiltrate the Cabal's inner sanctum and rescue Aevum. Moving through the shadows, Keisha navigated the treacherous landscape of Mariah's power. She evaded the possessed sentinels, her rainbow flow masking her presence, her movements swift and silent. She deciphered the cryptic symbols and wards that guarded the Cabal's chambers, her connection to the flow guiding her through the maze of dark magic. She witnessed the Cabal's rituals, her heart heavy with the corruption she saw, her resolve strengthened to free Aevum and reclaim the city's soul. But Mariah was waiting. She appeared as Keisha reached Aevum's prison, her form shimmering with dark energy, her voice a chorus of whispers that echoed through the chamber. "You dare trespass in my domain, little Cajun?" Mariah's voice dripped with malice. "You seek to steal what is mine?" The battle was joined. Mariah unleashed the full might of her voodoo-infused power, her spells warping reality, her illusions twisting Keisha's perceptions. At her side stood her most powerful enforcers, possessed warriors wielding terrifying magic, their loyalty to Mariah unwavering. The Chronomasters, already outnumbered, faced a daunting challenge. The fate of Aevum, the city, and perhaps the timeline itself, hung in the balance. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 17. Clash of Flows. The chamber trembled, the air thick with anticipation. Rainbow flow clashed against voodoo flow, a battle of vibrant energy against twisted magic, of hope against despair. Keisha, empowered by the Chronomaster's device, unleashed the full potential of her rainbow flow. Blasts of multicolored energy slammed into Mariah's possessed warriors, disrupting their spells and freeing them from her control. Shields of light deflected Mariah's illusions, protecting her allies from the warping effects of her power. Her movements were a whirlwind of grace and power, a dance of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Mariah, her form shimmering with dark energy, countered with the full might of her voodoo-infused magic. Shadows writhed and twisted, taking on monstrous forms, their attacks fueled by the city's pain and despair. Illusions warped reality, turning allies into enemies, and the chamber itself into a labyrinth of fear and confusion. Her voice, a chorus of whispers, echoed through the minds of her opponents, seeking to break their will and enslave their souls. The Chronomasters, outmanned but not outmatched, fought with temporal precision. Chronos, the master of time, manipulated the flow of moments, slowing down Mariah's attacks and creating temporal distortions to disorient her forces. Kairos, the strategist, predicted Mariah's every move, guiding his allies through the chaos and exploiting weaknesses in her defenses. The battle raged, a symphony of clashing energies and desperate struggles. The fate of New Orleans, and perhaps the timeline itself, hung in the balance. Chapter 18. Aevum's Choice. Amidst the chaos, the focus shifted to Aevum. Torn between the Legion's order and Mariah's seductive promises, she faced her ultimate choice. Mariah, her power reaching its zenith, offered Aevum a final plea. She painted a vision of shared power, a reality reshaped in her image, free from the constraints of time and destiny. She appealed to Aevum's restored memories, her true potential, her connection to the chaotic forces of the quantum realm. The Chronomasters, their voices echoing in Aevum's mind, offered a different path. Chronos spoke of duty, of the Legion's unwavering commitment to preserving the timeline, of the consequences of unchecked chaos. Kairos presented the logical choice, the path of order and stability, the only way to prevent the unraveling of existence. Aevum stood at a crossroads, her decision carrying the weight of countless realities. She could embrace her chaotic nature, join Mariah, and unleash her full potential, consequences be damned. She could reaffirm her loyalty to the Legion, suppress her past, and continue her role as a guardian of time. Or she could forge her own path, a third option, a choice that would redefine her destiny and alter the course of the saga. The final battle reached its climax, the fate of New Orleans, the timeline, and Aevum's soul hanging in the balance. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 19. The Weaver's Choice. The battle raged, a tempest of clashing powers shaking the foundations of Mariah's domain. But amidst the chaos, All eyes turned to Aevum, the weaver of realities, as she stood at the precipice of her destiny. Mariah, her voice a desperate plea laced with seductive promises, offered Aevum a world remade. "We are sisters, Aevum," she insisted, her form shimmering with dark energy. "We can reshape this reality, break free from the chains of time, and become the architects of a new existence." The Chronomasters, their voices echoing with the cold logic of time's guardians, presented their counter-argument. "The timeline is fragile, Aevum," Chronos stated, his tone devoid of emotion. "Chaos unchecked will unravel existence itself. Your duty lies with order, with preserving the flow." But Aevum in that moment saw a third path, a choice that transcended the rigid dichotomy presented to her. She saw the potential for both order and chaos, for structure and freedom to coexist. She recognized that the timeline wasn't a fixed entity but a river constantly flowing, capable of change and adaptation. She understood that her power wasn't meant for control or destruction, but for weaving a new tapestry of reality, one where the past and future could intertwine. With a surge of newfound determination, Aevum made her decision. She turned to Mariah, her eyes blazing with newfound clarity. "We are not sisters," she declared, her voice resonating with newfound power. "I am not a weapon, nor am I a destroyer. I am a weaver, and I will weave my own destiny." Aevum unleashed her powers, not to join Mariah or obey the Chronomasters, but to forge a new path. She severed Mariah's connection to the city's life force, disrupting her control and freeing New Orleans from her grasp. She manipulated the flow of time around the chamber, creating a localized temporal anomaly that neutralized the Chronomasters' control and allowed for a moment of true freedom. She wove a new reality, a fusion of order and chaos, where the city's vibrant energy could thrive without being consumed by darkness or suppressed by rigid control. The consequences of Aevum's choice rippled outwards, altering the course of the saga and setting the stage for new conflicts and destinies. Alright, let's craft an aftermath worthy of the saga's epic conclusion. Saga, the Crescent City Echoes. Chapter 20, A New Cadence. The echoes of the battle faded, leaving behind a changed New Orleans. Mariah's twisted empire crumbled, its power dissipated, its influence a haunting memory. Aevum's choice resonated through the city, weaving a new reality where order and chaos danced in a delicate balance. The city's institutions, freed from Mariah's control, began to rebuild, guided by a renewed sense of justice and fairness. The music scene, cleansed of its hypnotic darkness, exploded with creativity, a vibrant symphony of resilience and hope. The underworld, its power vacuum filled by a fragile truce, navigated a new landscape, where the shadows held both danger and the potential for redemption. But the victory was bittersweet. The Chronomasters, their mission fulfilled, prepared to depart, their temporal presence fading from the city's perception. Chronos, his masked face inscrutable, offered a final nod of acknowledgement to Keisha. "Your courage and compassion have served this city well," he stated, his voice echoing with a hint of respect. "The timeline is in your debt." Then came an unexpected turn. Aevum, her destiny now unbound, chose a different path. She recognized the potential for change, the need for a guardian who understood both the flow of time and the rhythm of the human heart. "The Legion's work is far from over," she declared, her eyes meeting Keisha's. "There are other cities, other timelines, threatened by chaos. I will join you, Keisha. Together we can weave a better future." And so, Keisha, the Cajun hero with the rainbow flow, found herself standing alongside Aevum, the weaver of realities, ready to embark on a new chapter as a Chronomaster. The saga ended, not with a definitive conclusion, but with a promise of more stories to be told, of new challenges to be faced, and of the enduring power of hope in the face of darkness. Alright, here's a glimpse into the saga that awaits. Saga, Temporal Echoes and Twisted Destinies. The consequences of Aevum's choice ripple outwards, not just through New Orleans but across the very fabric of time. Her actions have fractured the timeline, creating echoes of alternate realities and unleashing forces that were meant to remain dormant. Fractured timelines, alternate versions of heroes and villains emerge, their destinies warped, their powers amplified or diminished. The Legion finds itself stretched thin, battling not just threats to the present, but also paradoxes from the past and future. The rise of the Time Reavers. A new faction emerges, beings who seek to exploit the fractured timeline for their own gain. They manipulate temporal anomalies, rewrite history, and unleash temporal weapons that can erase entire realities. Aevum's journey. Aevum, now walking a path of her own making, grapples with the consequences of her choice. She must master her powers as a weaver of realities, navigate the treacherous currents of the altered timeline, and confront the echoes of her past. Keisha's ascension. Keisha, empowered by her experiences, embraces her role as a Chronomaster. She becomes a beacon of hope in the chaos, her rainbow flow, a force of stability against the encroaching temporal storms. This saga will delve into the complexities of time travel and alternate realities, the moral dilemmas of altering the past and shaping the future, the power of individual choice to defy destiny. Prepare for a mind-bending adventure where the past, present, and future collide, where heroes become villains and villains become saviors, and where the fate of existence hangs in the balance.